Chapter 118 Shrek lost. Huo Yuao only felt 2 waves of heat coming from the points of contact between his palms and Ma Xiaotao. They flooded his body and surged maniacally inside him. However, today was different from the situation before. He was in his peak state now. His soul power was surging rapidly, and the aura that turned into ultimate ice assimilated this wave of surging fire. At the same time, Ma Xiaotao felt a wave of coldness in response. Wang Dong also arrived beside Huo Yuao now. He placed his palms behind his back and relieved Huo Yuao's burden with an increase in Haodong power. That black fire phoenix that was no more than a meter long possessed a frightening strength. How could it be so easily unleashed? It seemed like Ma Xiaotao had only lifted her right arm, but that strike of hers included the will of her evil phoenix and the frightening strength of 3 skills: the phoenix baptism, phoenix sky pierce, and phoenix rupture contained within her right arm soul bone. Ma Xiaotao's right sleeve had disappeared by now, revealing her charcoal burned arm. This was a secret method of Shrek Academy, compressing 3 soul skills before unleashing them, and it was only suitable for Ma Xiaotao, who was a strength type soul master. Even Dai Yuheng couldn't do it, who from Shrek Academy was simple. This was Ma Xiaotao's true power. For some reason, Huo Yuao experienced a weird feeling when he placed his palms on Ma Xiaotao's back. After he experienced the change in ice and fire soul power with Ma Xiaotao earlier, they seemed to develop some sort of compatibility. It was if the burning soul power in Ma Xiaotao's body was calling him. Surely not? Huo Yuao was in a daze. That's because he had felt something similar before between him and Wang Dong. That was when both of them used their martial soul fusion skill. The me and you and me feeling then was very similar to how it was like now. However, Ma Xiaotao was a phoenix, while he was an ice empress and spirit eyes. How could they have developed compatibility if she contained the fire element and he contained the ice element? This was too weird. Ma Xiaotao also sensed what Huo Yuao sensed. She even felt it more intensely. She managed to quickly repress the evil fire that was engulfing her using the ultimate ice. She clearly felt the affection when the cool ice circulated through her body. Why was it like this? Was it a problem because she had initiated the evil fire repeatedly? Ma Xiaotao was also very puzzled. Compared to the last 2 times, where Huo Yuao had suppressed the evil fire passively for her, he did so actively this time. He was also in peak condition. Ma Xiaotao had also initiated her evil fire without any hesitation because he was around. Along the way, minor changes started to occur between their ice and fire. While these weird changes occurred between them, the group match ended on the competition stage. Meng Hingchen saved Xiao Hingchen and retreated quickly. On the other side, the surviving Team Sun Moon members were going crazy after another of their members was killed. Ma Rulong led the rest as they unleashed their strongest soul tools. They mounted a relentless attack on Shrek's team, who were caught in a net of lightning. Shu Sanqi and Ma Xiaotao had left the stage, while Jiang Nanan had lost the strength to compete further because of her critical injuries. Only Dai Yuheng, Ling Luoqin, Bei Bei and He Keitu were left. Bei Bei shouted suddenly as the opponent unleashed all their soul tools. Referee, we can see defeat. The Heaven Being Douluo did not feel well at this point. As the referee, he was very concerned about his own reputation even though he didn't care about the 2 Sun Moon members who had died. That was why he was very focused. Bei Bei's shout caused him to descend to the center of the competition stage. A ball of bright light shone from the Heaven Being Douluo at this point. 9 soul rings, 2 yellow, 2 purple and 5 black, shone brightly. He used his right hand to guide a wave of proud and noble aura as it was unleashed. A white star appeared in front of him, and starlight instantly spread. It turned into a huge barrier that segregated the competition stage and blocked off the Sun Moon team's attack. It was impossible for a class 5, 6 or 7 soul tools to hurt a title Douluo. Furthermore, the Heaven Fiend Douluo had powers that were very close to a transcendent Douluo. Dai Yuheng turned and stared at Bei Bei furiously. Why did you shout so randomly? We hadn't lost. We could have still continued competing. Bei Bei creased his brows and said, Senior, this is Teacher Wang's strategy. We're to follow his strategy, but victory is right in front of our eyes. Dai Yuheng roared back. Bei Bei sighed. Bei Bei sighed. Do you really think that we can beat the 4 of them with just the 4 of us alone? I couldn't have resisted that blow earlier. Do you think that any one of us could have? Dai Yuheng really wanted to impress his father. He knew what Bei Bei was saying was true. After all, he was the White Tiger Duke's eldest son. He calmed down after a temporary outburst of emotion and nodded at Bei Bei. Sorry, I was too impulsive. It's because I'm feeling bad that Jiang Nanan took that blow for me. Bei Bei smiled and revealed a set of white teeth. It's fine. You'll have a chance to shine later. The soul tool attacks had already ended, and all of the Sun Moon team members' eyes started to turn red. Tournament. This was just a tournament, but 2 of their team members had died. Those who could represent the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy to compete in this tournament were elite talents. Those who perished in battle were their compatriots and brothers. They felt extremely sorrowful that they had just died like that. If the Heaven Being Douluo hadn't intervened, they would have gambled with their lives against Team Shrek. Both teams, please calm down. Huang Jingsu said coldly. Victory has already been decided. If anyone acts recklessly, don't blame me for being unkind. The teacher in charge of the Sun Moon team had also turned pale, but remained calm. He scolded his team members, which stopped Ma Rulong and the rest from acting recklessly. Huang Jingsu turned to the direction of the city wall and said in low voice, the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy has won the team round. Both teams, you have 1 minute to readjust. After 1 minute, the 1v1 round will begin. At the same time, please choose your 7 members for the individual round. Once decided, no further changes can be made. Shrek Academy had lost. The entire Douluo Plaza descended into silence. In the next moment, there was an uproar again. Although many knew that Shrek's team was inferior to the Sun Moon Soul Academy's team in this tournament, everyone was still feeling incredulous that they had lost this team round. They were all awaiting a miracle from Shrek, but no miracle happened. In the end, Shrek had actually lost. They didn't even hold on to the end. Some of the agitated spectators started to curse furiously, and the entire Douluo Plaza was now in chaos. Silence. A mighty and sonorous voice rang across the entire venue at this point. The commotion in the huge plaza was restrained by this furious roar. It was the White Tiger Duke. He held a sound-amplifying soul tool in his hand, and said in a deep voice, both teams have already done their best. Victory and failure are very common. Those who hurl insults at the competing members will be found and severely punished. As the commander of the military for many years, Dai Hao's simple words were filled with a mighty aura. He controlled the situation just like that. His mighty aura even pressed Huo Yuao, who was helping Ma Xiaotao suppress her evil fire, to look up to the city wall. His mood and the expression in his eyes were very complex. As a guy who would not hope that their father was a hero in their pride, but he had never enjoyed paternal love before, he only had hatred for this father who he had not even seen before he left the Duke's mansion. Yes, he ruined his mother's chastity. His mother's victimization was because of him, but he was so valiant and powerful. No wonder Huo Yuao's mother didn't regret giving birth to him because of Dai Hao. Huo Yuao's psychological mindset was not as twisted as it was when he had left the Duke's mansion after learning and cultivating in Shrek Academy for the past year or so. But his hatred for the White Tiger Duke and those in the Duke's mansion who victimized his mother had never waned. Mum, this is who you loved before. He is outstanding, but it's precisely because of this that he hurt you so badly. Mum, don't worry. One day, I will stand before him and exact revenge for you. He's my father and gave me life, thus I won't kill him, but I will make him repent as he kneels in front of your grave. Mum, I will find you after the tournament is over. Bless me, so that I can grow up quickly. Mum, I miss you so much. His eyes welled up unwittingly, and he didn't even realize Ma Xiaotao looking at him. Younger brother, what's wrong? Ma Xiaotao asked softly. What? Huo Yuao only regained awareness now, and he shook his head slightly. Elder sister, I'm fine. Ma Xiaotao smiled and said, that's great then. I'm fine already. Quickly regain your soul power. You may be needed later. Everyone had descended from the stage right now. Bei Bei carried the unconscious Jiang Nanan as he returned to the waiting area. Wang Yan rushed forward. There were already healing type soul masters from the Douluo Empire coming forward to administer treatment. As men were different from ladies, and the individual round was about to begin, Wang Yan let Xiao tend to Jiang Nanan temporarily. After that, he reported the 7 names he wanted to send out for the individual round. These 7 were Ma Xiaotao, Dai Yuheng, Bei Bei, Shu Sanqi, Ling Luoqin, Huo Yuao, and Wang Dong. Yes, both Huo Yuao and Wang Dong were being sent out for the individual round. Shu Sanqi was woken up by Ling Luoqin using the ice element. Nanan. Shu Sanqi couldn't help but scream as he regained consciousness. His soul power surged out ferociously. Calm down. Bei Bei slapped him, and Shu Sanqi only calmed down because of that. Shu Sanqi very soon found Jiang Nanan, who was in Xiao Xiao's arms. His body was even trembling because he was too agitated. Shu Sanqi was more than a little frantic as he asked, "How is she? How is she?" Wang Yan came to his side, patted his shoulder and said in a deep voice, "Her injury is very serious, but her life won't be in any danger. Sanqi, do you want to avenge her?" Shu Sanqi turned around suddenly, of course. His voice sounded different because he replied with great enthusiasm. Wang Yan nodded and said, "I shall give you a chance. You'll be the first in the individual round. Good. I will go up and destroy them." As he spoke, Shu Sanqi received a milk bottle from Wang Yan. He shut his eyes quickly and regained the soul power that he had depleted earlier. For today's final, Wang Yan had specially bought a few more milk bottles in the 2 days of preparation. Everyone had one of them now, and used them to regain their soul power quickly. The individual round was about to start. Wang Yan was very calm. Although he seemed lethargic, he had a resolute look in his eyes. Yes, the loss in the team round was part of his plan. Shrek was inferior in terms of overall abilities. The Sun Moon team was made up of powerful soul engineers, and they had the most advanced soul tools among those of the same rank. They were undoubtedly the strongest as a team. This meant that they would be most powerful in the team round. If they clashed head-on, Shrek's chances of success wouldn't be greater than 30%, and so Wang Yan had decisively chosen to give up victory in the team round without knowledge of Xiao Hingchen and Meng Hingchen's abilities. His strategy was very simple. In the team round, all his team members were supposed to conserve. Only Jiang Nanan and Hikato would unleash their all, because they wouldn't be in the individual round. They only had one target in the team round, hurt as many of their opponents as possible. It's important to note that today's finals would be completed in one go. While the Sun Moon team was very powerful, they had a limited number of Soul Kings too. Wang Yan also didn't expect Xiao Hingchen and Meng Hingchen to be Soul Kings, but even still, the Sun Moon team only had 9 Soul Kings. If one was taken down, only 8 would be left. Reality proved that Wang Yan's strategy had succeeded. Lin Zai and Chen Fei's deaths were not part of his plan, but Ma Xiaodao who gave her all was too scary. She couldn't be merciful at all in this final. Along with a little accident, she actually killed 2 Class 5 Soul Kings. At the same time, she depleted several invincible barriers. More importantly, Xiao Hingchen was severely injured. He was unlikely to participate in the rest of the matches. Out of the 9 Soul Kings, 2 were killed and 1 was heavily injured. Team Sun Moon was very restricted in who they could send out. This would be very disadvantageous for the later segments of the final. However, the blow that Jiang Nanan took for Dai Yuehang wasn't within Wang Yan's plan, but he could understand Jiang Nanan's painstaking intention. Although Jiang Nanan was never a phony in front of Shu Sanqi, she was clear that she might bring Shu Sanqi down. That's why she took the blow for him without any hesitation. It's important to know that her life might have been lost if her invincible golden body couldn't hold on long enough, but she still dashed forward and managed to achieve the best result. Shu Sanqi was agitated, and his internal strength was half awakened. It was also her efforts that caused Xiao Hingchen to be critically injured. It was even fair to say that Shrek's team had executed Wang Yan's plan better than expected. Ma Xiaotao made the greatest contribution in this team round. Without her, this result would not have been achieved. Even so, Wang Yan did not think that Jiang Nanan made the second greatest contribution. He thought that it was Bei Bei who did so, after he shouted that Shrek conceded defeat at the last moment. What's being able to see the bigger picture? It's the ability to make the correct choice after judging the situation at the most critical moment. Bei Bei had shouted at the right time. The remaining 4 from the Sun Moon team were still very powerful, and they were also very far away from them. Their soul tools could still be preserved in their best states. Even though Dai Yuehang got closer eventually, the bloodthirsty demon ape that Ma Rulong had summoned wouldn't be easy to deal with. Or at least, it couldn't be dealt with in a short period of time. Shrek wouldn't have been able to achieve victory in that situation. Since this was the case, they should conserve their powers and use them in the individual round. Dai Yuehang was the one who was supposed to concede defeat, but it was obvious that he had lost control of his emotions. Wang Yan was more impressed with Bei Bei, as he was able to do what Dai Yuehang couldn't. Both teams had to decide their sequence before the individual round started and relay them to the referee. This was to ensure fairness. Wang Yan had already prepared his list earlier on, and passed it to Huang Jingsu. As 2 members had been killed and 1 member was severely injured, the teacher in charge of the Sun Moon team had to make changes. This left him extremely frantic. No, I have to compete. I must compete. If I don't, I won't be present for the 2-2-3 fight either. Damn it, I'm too cowardly. Xiao Hingchen was still squawking even though he was heavily injured. He wasn't very bothered by the 2 official team members' deaths. He was not very good at interpersonal relationships, and those 2 official team members didn't like him either. But he was feeling indignant. Xiao Hingchen had been recognized as the top talent in the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy's entire history. His talent didn't just make him a soul engineer, but also an outstanding soul master. He could even perfectly combine these 2 together. Both he and Meng Hingchen weren't sent to compete earlier because they were kept to deal with Shrek Academy later on, but he knew that he would embarrass himself the first time he revealed himself. His all-out offense was blocked by a ravishing lady. What was even more unfortunate for him was that he was wrenched into the air by that same lady using her feet. Eventually, he was heavily injured by Dai Yuehang. He was totally embarrassed even before he did anything. How could he not feel depressed? Xiao Hingchen's identity on the Sun Moon team was very sensitive. Their teacher didn't dare to let him take a risk. After he was critically injured and 2 of the other students were killed, he quickly withdrew Xiao Hingchen's participation from the tournament and replaced him with another preparatory team member. What did Xiao Hingchen do? Xiao Hingchen still wanted to turn the tide and reveal himself in front of everyone. If he left it just like that, it would be an absolute farce for him. That was why he was unwilling to be substituted just like that. As he was treated by the healing type soul masters, he debated with his teacher. He was unwilling to disqualify himself. The teacher said in a deep voice, "Xiao Hingchen, calm down. Don't forget what you mean to our academy. If something happens to you, how can I account to the whole master?" Xiao Hingchen raged. "I don't need you to account to anyone. Isn't my sister here? If I really die in battle, she'll explain it to my grandfather. I don't care. I have to compete. Don't blame me for complaining to my grandfather if you don't let me compete." Meng Hingchen was a little annoyed as she said, "Teacher, just let him compete if you have no choice. At most, we'll not let him fight in the individual round. I think 6 of us is enough. If we can't and lose, my brother and I can unleash our full strength together for the 2-2-3 fight. He can also use the time for the individual round to recover a little. Although I hate to admit it, it's partly accidental that 2 seniors were killed just now." The teacher creased his brows. These 2 fellows were very troublesome. Only after the Heaven Fiend Douluo urged him for a lineup did he say helplessly, "Very well then. Even if we lose in the individual round, you can't compete. At most, you can pair with Meng Hingchen in the 2-2-3 fight. Okay." Xiao Hingchen agreed forthrightly. He also knew his own condition. He couldn't recover so fast from the White Tiger's extermination attacks that were unleashed onto him. With some time from the individual round, he believed that he could regain a part of his true powers. With his sister around, he was sure he could achieve something in this final. It was definitely better than watching from below the stage. The Sun Moon team's competing members and their sequence for the individual round were decided just like that. Ma Rulong had expended a lot of his powers earlier and couldn't be the first to compete. The first to be sent up was an official team member that had been substituted by Meng Hingchen and Xiao Hingchen earlier on. After that, it was another official team member that had been substituted. Following these 2, it was Michael, Meng Hingchen, and Ma Rulong followed by Xiao Hingchen. There was a reason why Meng Hingchen was among the first few to be sent up. Since Wang Yan had already arranged everything, there were no changes on Shrek's side. Shu Sanqi was the first to enter the fray. He would be followed by Bei Bei, Ling Luogan, Dai Yuehang, Ma Xiaotao, Wang Dong, and Huo Yuao. Without a doubt, the first 5 were the main forces for this individual round, while Huo Yuao and Wang Dong were the icing on the cake. One of them had 3 rings while the other had 2 rings. Wang Yan included them in the lineup with eyes on the 2-2-3 fight. If the 2 of them were paired along a Soul Emperor, it would be a great choice. Their martial soul fusion skill couldn't be underestimated, even though they weren't that powerful individually. Wang Yan didn't send them out in the team round because of his arrangement for Shrek to lose the team round, and also because he wanted to conceal their true abilities. Wang Yan might not have even sent them to compete for today's final if not for Huo Yuao and Wang Dong's incessant pleas. He wanted to protect them. In 5 years, they would be the core of Shrek's 7 monsters. The more they revealed themselves now, the better their opponents would understand them. Furthermore, the body sect had already laid their eyes on Huo Yuao. Wang Yan didn't want them to reveal even more about themselves. But how could Huo Yuao and Wang Dong not want to compete because of that. Furthermore, there were only 3 possible permutations for Shrek's lineup. After the team battle, they were definitely needed. That's why such an arrangement cropped up. The individual round begins. The first competing member of each team, please enter the stage. From Shrek Academy, we have Shu Sanchi. From the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy, we have Li Yan. Shu Sanchi did not even use the stairs. He jumped onto the stage from Shrek's waiting area. Even everyone from Shrek felt an unfamiliar sense as they looked at him right now. Shu Sanchi often laughed and joked normally. He either pestered Jiang Nanan or bickered with Bei Bei. The occasional promise that he showed wouldn't hold up either. But now, his entire person seemed to have changed at this point. He was silent, cold, and even had an indescribable manner to him. This manner could be described as dignified, or could be referred to that of a leader. He was no longer like a youth now. He was more like an adult, one that was very aloof and competitive. Through closer observation, one could notice a subtle undulation of black gas flowing around him even though he had not unleashed his martial soul. There was even a dense, gentle ripple that moved with a slight rhythm around his body. He wore a deep gaze that was also cold. His entire person seemed to have become a deep valley that sucked people in. This was Shu Sanchi in his complete state. He was no longer a soul master who controlled the shield of the Chuanding turtle, but the wielder of the Swanwu shield. He had the strongest defense-type martial soul on the continent. Coincidentally, Shu Sanchi's opponent was a fire-type soul master. Li Yan was originally one of Team Sun Moon's official team members, but his ranking among the 7 official team members should be quite low considering how he could be replaced by Meng Hingchen and Xiao Hingchen. His martial soul wasn't a pure fire element. It possessed many impure sources of deviant fires and impurities. He wouldn't have been powerful enough if he only cultivated as a soul master. That's why he chose to become a soul engineer. He couldn't use his martial soul to provide himself with more soul power to last in battle, but he could use his own deviant fire to supplement all his soul tools with a fire aura through different soul skills. Of course, his fire was much weaker than Ma Xiaodao's Phoenix Flames, but he was still extraordinary to have become a class 5 soul engineer before he was 20 years old. Both of their gazes crossed as if they were arch enemies. The Sun Moon team had lost 2 of their members. Normally, they were partners that trained and improved together. Li Yan was filled with hatred now that they had passed on, but Shu Sanchi felt even more hatred in his heart compared to them. When he saw the unconscious Jiang Nanan, he was rubbed the wrong way, and he now only had one thought on his mind. He had to take revenge for Jiang Nanan and defeat his opponent. The Heaven Fiend Douluo didn't say anything much. Instead, he gestured for both of them to step back with an ugly look on his face. But the most chaotic team round was already over. He believed that he had enough focus and energy to monitor every exchange of moves between both teams in future battles. Match, start. Both parties made their move as Huang Jingsu shouted. Li Yan waved his right arm upwards, and a thick soul tool cannon landed on his shoulder. Without even looking, he fired the cannon towards Shu Sanchi. A huge fireball was suddenly shot towards Shu Sanchi. The fireball carried a series of explosive sounds in the air, distorting the air wherever it passed. His deviant fire wasn't very strong, but it was still very powerful as his soul tool compressed and condensed it. After he injected his soul power into the soul tool, it was almost as if he had created this soul tool himself. Under normal conditions, one's first reaction to this cannon shot would be to dodge it. After Li Yan's soul power was compressed, this cannon shot was rather devastating offensively. The best choice was to dodge it, but Shu Sanchi did not dodge. He opened his feet wide and suddenly dashed towards his opponent. His martial soul was also unleashed at the same time. Shu Sanchi's martial soul had the Swanwu aura as it was unleashed. This was expected by Wang Yan and everyone from Shrek after Shu Sanchi was agitated because of Jiang Nanan. Another dark green snake appeared on the fine and heavy turtle shield. The snake's eyes were fresh red. A turtle and snake combined. This was the original appearance of the Swanwu. A black halo spread out from the shield. Shu Sanchi seemed to turn entirely black at this point. Against the ball of fire, he performed an extremely domineering action. He swept the Swanwu shield and used the shield surface to strike the ball of fire. Under normal conditions, any power released by a soul tool would cause an impact once it collided with something else. This was even more so for a fire type attack like this. However, what happened next was contrary to everything that everyone knew. When Shu Sanchi's Swanwu shield struck the ball of fire, the snake eyes flashed with a red light. At the same time, a gentle ripple strangely covered the ball of fire. The ball of fire did blow apart, but it was delayed by a second because of this ripple. But this second was enough to decide many things. The ball of fire was hit more than 10 meters away before it blew apart. The shockwave it produced couldn't reach Shu Sanchi. Shu Sanchi continued to dash forward in big steps. As his martial soul became the Swanwu shield, his cultivation had also increased greatly, which meant that he had also become faster. Li Yan did not panic even though his strike achieved nothing. The stage was 100 meters wide. Shu Sanchi couldn't dash to the front instantly even if he wanted to. Metal barrels started to appear on his body, and streaks of intense light lit up continuously. Not only this, but the soul tool on his shoulder changed into a huge fire cannon. This fire cannon was not fired towards Shu Sanchi directly, but above him. A huge fiery web descended from the sky and engulfed the area in front of Shu Sanchi from above. Li Yan had calculated this strike beforehand. If Shu Sanchi continued to burst forward, he would be covered by this fire web. If he stopped, it would buy more time for Li Yan to unleash more soul tools against him. Li Yan was waiting for Shu Sanchi to delay himself. He could not last, but his explosiveness was great. But that explosiveness of his had to be unleashed at the correct timing too. Just when everyone thought that Shu Sanchi would stop in his tracks or go around the web, Shu Sanchi made a decision that no one had expected. He did not stop, and continued to sprint forward. The fire web covered him. A cold grin appeared on Li Yan's lips. He was sure that Shu Sanchi was unaware that this fire web was a soul tool that he had invented. This fire web would restrict the opponent like a cage. However, all of his fire-type attacks could penetrate the fire web, and he could thus continue to attack his opponent. This meant that Shu Sanchi would be in deep trouble if he landed inside the fire web. At least this was what Li Yan thought. As the fire web was about to descend and engulf Shu Sanchi's Swanwu shield was still blocking the attacks of Li Yan's various soul tools, and he couldn't defend against what was above him. At this moment, Shu Sanchi stopped in his tracks. He did not even glance at the fire web that descended from the sky as he placed the shield in front of his chest. In the next instant, Li Yan saw 2 spots of red light shining on the Swanwu shield. After that, he felt that space had distorted. Everything around him seemed to turn illusory. Li Yan couldn't describe this feeling either. He was a little dizzy because of this, and his soul tool attacks also seemed to become very messy and chaotic. This distortion only lasted for a moment before normalcy was restored. In the next instant, Li Yan was appalled. That was because he discovered to his great horror that he was in front of Shu Sanchi and the Swanwu shield. That fire web had only just landed. A dense, black soul power spurted from Shu Sanchi's body. His 3rd and 4th soul rings started to light up. His 3rd soul skill was the mysterious underworld force, while his 4th soul skill was the mysterious underworld displacement. However, everything was different when the shield of Chuanding turtle turned into the Swanwu shield. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.